going on, guys? This is FFS. I'm Heath. This is Pat. We've got a lot to talk to you guys about today. We're talking European game. We're talking Gold Cup final coming up, and we're talking about some suspensions. Pat, where are we starting at today?
We're starting with the big one. The Neymar saga is rolling on. Rumors of him for a while going to PSG. He's having a great ICC. What's your word for that?
My word for this one is, I don't know why I write in like weird handwriting, is chaos. Chaos because you've got this by far world-breaking transfer on the line, right? You've got Neymar, who's kind of in the shadows of MSN, right? This is a package thing, but the first letter in that is M. That's Messi. He's always going to get all the attention of Barcelona, okay? And then you've got this idea of like, okay, does he want to leave? You've got his teammates posting pictures saying "se queda," which I don't know if you habla español, but means he's staying.
He's staying. I speak. I hablo español. What did you say? Wait, what did you say though?
Yeah, you habla español.
Oh, sí.
Yeah, but you know, all this controversy, but I'm more curious. I'm saying it's chaos because all these things are happening, but I'm wondering if, like, why would Neymar leave, right? You're at Barcelona. PSG's not a bigger club. Okay, the money's bigger and better and stuff like that, but like, it's got to be for him to form his own legacy, right? Like, he's kind of been in the shadow of something bigger than him, which is Barcelona, whereas at PSG, I think he could go on and you know, do something incredible and actually form himself into being the next Ballon d'Or. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I think he should stay and be a team player. I mean, being at Barcelona is the top of the line. And you guys know me, I'm a team player. I'm not really trying to start my own legacy. Just trying to latch on. I'm just trying to latch on.
You certainly aren't trying to do, you certainly aren't. You are a true
Let's
move
on, all right?
No, let's not move on. But guys, we want to know what you guys think about this whole Neymar saga. Do you think he should go? Do you think he should stay? And we are doing our league previews coming up, so we want to know from you guys. We're doing a user-generated preview show. We want to know what you guys think about the Bundesliga, Premier League, all the big leagues, upcoming campaigns. We want to know your thoughts on them, where teams will finish, how you feel about them. So get into the comments and let us know, and we'll make sure we feature you guys in those shows. Right? What else we got?
Let's move on to Man City. Okay. Kind of weird things going on right there. They bought Danilo and Kyle Walker. Both right backs, kind of the mortal enemy of someone like you, who's a left back.
The mortal enemy. No, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's like kind of a yin-yang kind of thing.
Yin-yang.
I don't know what that means. Anyway,
you into like the Zen type thing?
Super Zen. Listen, Pep's spending a lot of money on defenders. People are a little bit weirded out by that, especially guys that are both naturally right backs, right? That's correct.
How much has he spent though, in general?
Well, I know Kyle Walker was 50 million. He's the most expensive English defender, or most expensive English player in league transfer. I read it somewhere.
In league transfer?
It's not.
Are you just throwing words together right now? It sounds like you're throwing words together. Don't you hate when those alarms don't go off in the morning?
Kyle Walker was one of the most expensive English players to transfer within the league. That's a fact.
Like this year or ever?
It could be anything. It could be any time.
Are you saying defenders or generally speaking?
What's the word for that, Heath?
My word, it's fraud. Question mark, sorry. I don't want to make a statement. I'm posing a question. That could go very, very wrong in the comments if I don't get that correct.
Yeah, and it will.
Here's my thing, is that Pep Guardiola, since 2016, has spent like almost $400 million, if not more, on player transfers. And that poses the question to me, okay, they finished third last year. They were solid, but they were never in the contention of winning the title. Could he do something with an average budget, right? Could he do something with a Tottenham or with a Liverpool or an Arsenal, or does he have to have this unlimited budget for him to do well? I mean, look, we were talking about today, this morning, just like coming off the back of the La Masia, he had all these players come through, right? Fell right into his lap, didn't have to spend crazy money. It's also Barcelona. Then he goes to Bayern Munich, also falls into his lap, a team that's very, very dominant in the league and are good enough to get to the semifinals of Champions League, right? And now here he is at City, and he's just spending and spending. Two players play the exact same position. You sign them. Do you need to spend, I guess, it's 300-something million or 300 million on defenders since 2014.
That's correct.
Yeah, and the Mendy, like this is insane. Like the big argument people are all having with City right now is like, where is the bargain deal? But like, where's the next bargain where you find a good player? I mean, you're spending this money on Walker, Stones.
So this is just that was a long-winded way to say that you think Pep isn't very good.
Oh, I'm saying I think he's good, but
okay.
I want to know if he could actually do like.
If he could do
what is he proving as a manager if he gets to just buy the best players all the time and then put them on the field? If he's not winning trophies. If he's winning trophies, you can't argue that. But is he winning trophies? Is he going to win the Premier League this year? Are they favorites by spending 300 million since Pep came on board? That's my question for you guys. and for you. You don't know the answer, but our fans know the answer.
I will know.
Or at least have a good answer.
On to the Gold Cup. U.S. advances thanks to Josie Altidore and Clint Dempsey, and more surprisingly last night, Jamaica is on to the final to play the U.S. Kamar Lawrence scores in the 88th minute. Really upset Mexico fans, I'm sure, and I am sorry. My heart is with you. What's your word for that?
Well, aside from the people that are going to go crazy Osorio out right now,
Yeah.
I'm saying it's awkward for a few reasons. One, Kamar Lawrence scored and then they did a very awkward celebration where they all kind of hugged, but it wasn't like, you would think when they do the hug thing, it's like, guys, we're playing against Mexico. They're a very good team. Let's huddle up. Let's make sure that we like grind out these next few minutes, get the result. But then they hugged, and then they went down for a prayer, which is fine. But like, it was just, you're going to the Gold Cup final, and you just scored a sick free kick.
Late in the game.
The goalkeeper was frozen on his line, took a few steps, and then froze again. But it's awkward also because Clint Dempsey comes on after Bruce Arena subs him off a while back, right? Basically saying you're not a 90-minute player anymore. You might be a super sub role in this. And then he has a goal and an assist, and now the argument is like, oh, put him back as a starter again, or has he proven himself as a super sub? And then the third awkward thing is that Landon Donovan is on the call for that game with Stuart Holden and John Strong and has to watch the guy tie the record, and the camera's panning up to him, and it's just an awkward feeling for a guy to have to like, I know he handled it well, but like deep down, you know, like it has to be like, you know, just like when Rooney broke the record, you know, deep down it's just like.
You don't think that
Bobby Charlton's an old man.
Yeah, that's true, but like a record still, like that is the pillars of which you like basically get to live on. Is like, this is something truly spectacular. Landon handles it well, and he kind of makes the joke like, okay, let's just tie so we can share this record and stuff. But like, if I was him, I'd be pretty upset.
You think so? I want to believe that he's such a committed U.S. national team personality. He's like happy to see someone break it because it just means that a player that he played with is doing well, the team's winning. I like to think that he's
yeah, but like
he's all in.
It'd be different if it was like you said, Bobby Charlton thing of just like this generation removed, and it's kind of like, okay, like you had to know it was going to happen. Like Pulisic's probably going to break all these records, in my opinion, if he stays healthy and that type of like if he does, like he's at a rate that he's going to blow past all these guys. But like that's sort of like a generation removed, I think. And even in the future when we have global superstars, that's going to be the case. But this is like two guys from the same generation. Clint Dempsey's tied this record on quite a few less games, and not that any of that plays into it, but just a record. That's something to be very proud of. Like you don't want to just like hand it like you do in the future. Bobby Charlton again, like pass the baton to the next generation, but this is like two guys from the same generation. I think it would just be hard to like, in the moment, just be like, I mean, you knew it was coming, right? It wasn't like it just snuck up on him. But
totally.
I don't know.
We're going to keep talking about this because I've got a couple questions. And I've got one question and one statement. They're both at 57 goals.
Okay.
So that's 114 goals, right? Mm-hmm. Did you assist to any of those?
That's a good question. I had to have at some point. I had six assists in my 35 games.
I know.
Pretty proudly. That's a decent number for an outside back at the national.
Everything about
like
your
club team
national
level.
Team numbers
if you're doing like 6 assists a year at the club team level, that's solid.
6 assists, one of them.
Which I did do one year.
Statistically, one of them had to have been to Donovan or Dempsey, right?
I would think.
We're gonna find out. But also, I was just gonna say, and this may not be worth talking about, but like,
don't ever say
this is
that.
Jamaica's.
Don't start any conversation like that.
Yes, I start all of them. This is Jamaica's second Gold Cup final in a row, right? Yeah, they beat the U.S. in the semis and then lost to Mexico.
Yeah.
But like, what is going on with Jamaica that, I mean, and I get that there's a lot of B teams in this tournament, but it's a bummer because like in my eyes, like I want Jamaica to be like a CONCACAF, like not powerhouse obviously, but one of the teams that's contending like Costa Rica does. It sucks to see that they're not in World Cup qualifying, but they can manage it at the Gold Cup. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but like I just find that to be a bummer because the Jamaican team is super fun to watch. They line up for their photos like this instead of putting their arms around each other. It's sick. I want to be there, and that's pretty much just a thought that doesn't matter. So
to be fair, with that point is like Trinidad's not at this. Trinidad didn't make this tournament, but they're in World Cup qualifying right now. So it's just a weird. The Caribbean's always a tough thing, but
CONCACAF is the Wild West.
I would love to see the Reggae Boys come back. I'd love to see Trinidad come back. But again, the consistency. It seems like those nations are always dependent on like who wants to come play for them, not like players raised within their systems, right? It's like English-born Jamaicans or whatever that or vice versa that come and play. So that's never like a recipe for success. You're just dependent on guys who I don't know. You're not developing internally you're developing externally and pulling guys in. Does that make sense?
That does.
I don't know.
Probably a pointless thought.
All right.
I wasted a lot of people's time right there.
Can we say something? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
You're in just a very bad habit of starting every conversation with, this is probably useless information.
Well, that's what happens when I talk.
What confirms that it's
Yeah.
useless information.
You know what? You know what builds that kind of mentality to someone is when they talk to someone like you,
Abuse.
where if I talk for longer than 2 seconds, you're like, oh, are you still talking? Or another one you like to do is, are the movie rights for that story still available? So every time I talk about something,
I save those for
every
really
time I
bad
want, every
moments.
time like I have a thought and I want to talk about something,
Don't
I
tell
have
these
to,
guys and make it sound like I'm bullying you. Right
Yeah,
now.
true. He's not a bully, but he hurts me and it makes me not want to go on. No. Let's move on to El Salvador. We saw what they did in the game against the U.S. They were aggressive. There were some, what do you want to call this? To the nipple?
Turnkeys?
Turnkeys. There was some biting. Well, two of their players got banned, one for 6 games, one for 3 games. What's your word on that?
Honestly, this is idiotic.
Fair.
It's one thing to like in the run of play or in the game, like you want to get a moment on a guy, you step on his toes, or you get a little elbow into him when you're bodying up or whatever. Like that's all part of the game. There's a physicality that happens to the game. But like it's foolish to think that around big moments or whatever, or like just biting in general, the guy's gonna obviously be like, he bit me, or they're gonna tell the officials, look to the review tapes, this guy bit me, there's a mark on my shoulder or on my back. Like, you can't get away with that anymore. Why would you ever think?
Yeah.
And that's why it's idiotic to me. Like, why would you ever think you can get away with that in the game anymore? It makes no sense.
I just don't know what compels someone to do that. Especially, like, sure, if you're down like 5 goals, maybe I'd probably take a bite out of somebody. But just because I was pissed, you know?
Yeah.
But you're competing, and they could, like, there was a point where they could have been up by a couple goals. So I just don't get it. And it's like you said, obviously, that's gonna come back to bite them. Wow, what a great little verb. I didn't plan that.
Dude.
That's great. I realized that was cool halfway through saying it, which is sick. But yeah, so I just don't get it. I'm disappointed. That's my word. I don't have a word. I don't get a word for some reason. Why don't I get a word? We've been doing this for like several shows now, and I never thought of the fact that I just don't get a word.
Because it takes you through 3 minutes of explanation to find what your word is.
I'm a poet.
Right?
I'm poetic. I always look at the wrong camera.
That's okay, guys. That is all we have for today. Pat has actually been great. He's added a lot of context to normal things that we wouldn't normally talk about. But get down in the comments and let us know your thoughts on if you think Neymar should stay at Barcelona or should he go? Can he still win a Ballon d'Or if he does stay? What are your thoughts on biting? And also, don't forget, previews coming up. So we want to know your thoughts. We're going to get all those into the show. So like and subscribe, and Pat and I will see you guys later.
Later.